Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovia's inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh, thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Was spending yesterday catching up on a lot of NFL stuff that I might have missed, and I came to this realization, Joe. We're not really talking about anything in the NFL that's really good at this point. Most of the conversation revolves around what's bad. And it all came to fruition last night with Monday Night Football between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. There's two storylines here. Remember, the Buffalo Bills had the galaxy brain of, we're going to get rid of Stephon Diggs to become a better team to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. And then, of course, you had that dead bounce by the Jets. People were thinking, all right, it's Aaron Rodgers' team now. And it very much looked like an Aaron Rodgers team last night. He had an amazing Hail Mary to end the half, his fourth completed Hail Mary in his career, which is incredible.
It's kind of wild.
But then he throws a pick at the end of the game that nullifies everything. And the Jets had 11 penalties. And he's mad at the refs. And he's mad at guys falling down. And no accountability for Aaron Rodgers. So, of course, that'll be your talking points for the rest of the day. But then as I was looking around, you have your Nick Sirianni conversation in Philly. By the way, do you think that Nick Sirianni, Doug Peterson, and Mike McCarthy were all watching that Jets game last night going, they better not freaking win? Because if they win,
everyone's going to be like, see, all you got to do is fire your coach.
My owner's going to go, well, maybe.
No, apparently Nick Sirianni was too busy using his kids as a prop.
I didn't realize. I brought that up yesterday. I'm like, hey, he's jawing at the fans, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And and I was absolutely right when I said WIP up in Philly is going to be obsessed with what Nick Sirianni did with the shaved head and jawing at the fans, and everything else. To your point, I did not realize he trotted his kids out to the press conference.
Now that's a choice,
dude. It's Philly. They don't care about your kids. It's funny. For instance,
they would definitely say something about Santa at that press conference to those kids, man.
Tell me you don't know the market you're in without telling me you don't know the market you're in. You brought your kids out thinking that was going to shield you from Philadelphia media?
Yeah.
It's Philly, dude. They'll call you a bum. Quick, look, because it came up, now that it's come up in conversation, let me explain something that I witnessed at the Ice Line Arena.
Oh, you were in Philly this week. Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
And Jacob's team was playing a squad called the Quakers, but there was not
a lot of peace.
Not a lot of Quaker.
Peace, love, and harmony going on.
There was not a lot of Quaker vibes going on with the opposing team. And look, they're 13-year-olds. They're getting used to hitting, and they lost their cool. Both teams lost their cool for a bit. One of the dads on the Quaker squad started calling one of our kids a punk.
Okay.
So what makes you think, Nick Sirianni, in this town, they're going to see some kids on the stage and go, oh, well, guys.
It's okay.
It's like,
think of the children.
Think of the children. Back off. Nah, man, up in Philly, they're coming out of the womb calling their quarterbacks bums. Like, what are you talking about? Of course, when this guy's calling one of our kids a punk, things escalate. Even I got into it and started yelling at the guy.
Nice.
To chill the hell out. And then after a while, he picks up his 3-year-old and says to me under his breath, this is why I don't come to games. And I just looked at him and I said, well, that sounds like a you problem, buddy. And then he walks off. He skulks off.
Fighting people.
I will. I absolutely. It's something that I didn't realize was in me. But I used this example. I wasn't going to tell this story until I found out Nick Sirianni brought his kids to the press conference.
Unreal.
Right? So that's kind of where we're at in the NFL. And as I'm listening to podcasts and I'm reading, who are these challengers and who's good and all this other stuff. Well, everything is built to beat the Chiefs, right? So I mentioned the Bills.
What's actually, well, go ahead. Keep going.
Right? And then you got the Ravens with this dynamic duo now of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a really nice win against Washington over the weekend.
You mean the Ravens, the best team in the NFL last year, who will have the best safety in the NFL and still can't cover Travis Kelce?
That's
that team?
That's the problem.
Okay.
So we've got to the point with the Ravens where you're like, cool, awesome. Regular season, but I need you to do this in the postseason. But Monty Jones made this point in the offseason that what'll end up happening is that we're going to look at the Ravens and the Chiefs very similarly to how we viewed the Patriots and the Colts. With Tom Brady's the one. Like, look, we can all be in amazement of Peyton Manning, but when it came to postseason success, he got beat routinely by Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Yeah.
And I think we're finding ourselves in a similar situation. Lamar Jackson is very much in the MVP conversation again. And his postseason performance should not be held against him when we talk about a regular season award.
Yeah.
But you know what's happening. It's like, well, until you do it against the Chiefs. And the problem, I think, the reason why we're talking more about who's not doing something, who's about to get fired, it's because the Chiefs aren't even dynamic.
I was going to say, the NFL sucks.
Yeah.
Like, straight up.
It sucks is a strong word. It's just there's nothing dynamic going on.
The NFL sucks on offense. How about that?
There we go.
You know, if you want to watch a bunch of teams throw a bunch of 2-yard passes and hem each other in and wait till we get to the, the red zone and then see who can kick the most field goals or score the most touchdowns, like, cool. But the NFL is, quite frankly, just not very interesting. What do we get? I told you, I think we could get about an average right now of 2 games per week where teams actually do score some points and trade some paint and make it interesting. And the rest of the time, it's just kind of like,
It's interesting. I'm sitting here talking about teams that don't seem all that dynamic right now. Detroit looks dynamic, but of course that was more about the Cowboys than it was about the Lions.
Give the Lions some love, man.
But I think that's what it is. You want to give the Lions love because it's been a downtrodden franchise.
Well, they do the loop-de-loops and they throw the alley-oops and they're like getting their linemen involved. Like, they're having fun, man.
And nobody wants to trust the Vikings because Sam Darnold's their quarterback. And then, of course, the Dolphins are the Dolphins because of the Tua Tagovailoa. They're not even dynamic right now. They're sad.
The Vikings are in the aren't they cute mode right now. I mean, they're unbeaten, but it's like, aren't they cute? Look at them.
Speaking of the Dolphins, happy merry early Christmas.
Is this the present that you won?
Yeah, there's a story here. One of our listeners was up in Virginia.
Oh, this is going on the wall.
Now look at the back.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's going on the wall.
It's signed.
Oh, get out of here.
Look at the back.
Maybe it's not going on the wall.
Well, why wouldn't it go on the wall?
We don't want to ruin it.
Well, no, frame it and then put it on the wall. Yeah, so quick story about this. It's a Tyreek Hill Dolphins jersey signed. One of our listeners.
If only, Chiefs.
Right.
The biggest mistake you ever made. This should be red and white.
So one of our listeners was up in Virginia for a youth sporting event, and they visited the aquarium in their downtime, and they had a charity event taking place, a silent auction taking place with a bunch of signed sports memorabilia. And they messaged me and it says, "Hey, here's a signed cheetah jersey. You think Chilio would want it?" Me thinking, put my name down with my email. I'm sure somebody will outbid me for the opening bid.
And then the Dolphins went in the tank and nobody cared.
Nobody cared. So I get an email and a text. "Congratulations, you won the auction." I was like, "Oh no, okay."
Well,
but I thought I couldn't think of anything more appropriate than to give me that for Christmas.
That's amazing, and that will hasten our my redesign of the wall. I was gonna wait till January, but maybe we'll get it done before.
I'm glad you liked it. I'm still waiting.
I love it.
I'm still waiting on my NC State ringer tee. That should arrive today. See if that fits this week.
Be something else.
It'll be a medium on me. It'll be a medium on me. Speaking of things that suck, the Carolina Panthers. So this is how bad things are for the Carolina Panthers.
I should just say like on defense, or do you just like saying in general
just
now?
In general.
Just like
here. I'm gonna show you this. You might have missed it. This is from our friend Vashti over at Carolina Blitz. Again, I missed this as well. Apparently, Young-Ho Koo, the kicker for the Atlanta Falcons, walked by the Carolina Panthers media contingent and said, "Keep stankin'." Okay. When the kicker is stunting on you, because this is not the first time kickers have stunted on the Panthers.
Right.
Okay. So keep stanking. Put that on a t-shirt until the Panthers turn things around, man. So as I joked yesterday, the Panthers you can go one of two directions when you talk about the Carolina Panthers right now. You can either go with the 100% Panther free guarantee, which will be Wednesday here on the OG, or you can talk about who we trading today. And yesterday, during the Dave Canales press conference, sure enough, we got the who you trading today. And this was about Chuba Hubbard. Here's Dave Canales' response.
Draft day, the feeling was that Brooks was the future for you guys at running back. Chuba obviously is the present right now. How does that figure in your thinking? So let's say a team were to come in and offer you guys something for Chuba before the trade deadline, and you know you got Brooks is going to be long term. So how does all that work?
Again, we just got to get Jonathan out there, see where he's at, take a good evaluation of him playing football, moving around with confidence, and then we'll make those decisions.
With making the decision on Jonathan today, what would preclude you from giving it the thumbs up? It sounds like you're pretty confident.
Yeah, it's just all of us putting our heads together and making sure we feel fully confident, especially coming off the nature of an injury like this, that he gets out there and he can go for it, and give us a look at what he's going to be like.
So that was in reference to Jonathan Brooks, who looks like he's getting ready to come back to the roster, the guy that they drafted back in April. And the reason why I don't think they're in the position to try and trade Chuba Hubbard right now is because Dave Canales is still in the business of trying to win football games. And the one positive that we've seen so far offensively has been Chuba Hubbard. It's pretty consistent. I know the Panthers radio booth was going on and on about his multi-purpose yardage, and he's up there in terms of rankings with Derrick Henry and the like and everything else. So I can't imagine that they're going to move on from him. But if you keep putting him out there, you keep showcasing him, maybe when you do get to the trade deadline, there is a team that's in contention that would like to add him to the mix. And that way you slow walk Jonathan Brooks into the lineup and you see what you have, especially for Dave Canales, who's going to be part of this coaching staff for the foreseeable future. So that's where things are right now. I love when I'm right about how things are going to go narratively. And sure enough, we have hit another week of who we trading in Charlotte.
I kind of sort of find it hard to believe that the Buffalo Bills don't want Deontay Johnson.
I'm with you on that.
How do you watch the Bills? This is the second week in a row where I watch the Bills and I'm like, okay, cool. You gave up on Diggs, whatever was happening there in the locker room. I get it.
They wanted to spread the wealth. They didn't want the Stephon Diggs, the stereotypical diva wide receiver thing. I can't imagine Deontay Johnson would be in the same situation as Stephon Diggs, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, but you can't look around at your skill players right now and be like, hey, we're good enough to win the Super Bowl. No, you're not. Straight up. So Devontae Adams, Deontay Johnson, Calvin Ridley was out there yammering the other day. Like, there's plenty of receivers to go around. These teams need to make moves, because otherwise, to your point, like, you're going to show up in the playoffs and it's going to be like, oh, you know what we could really use now?
Oh, yeah. How about that, right? So anyway, that's where things are right now. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer about the NFL. I'm just trying to be realistic about what I'm watching and how things are being discussed. And every time I tune into some sort of NFL recap, or if I'm listening to, for instance, First Things First on Fox Sports 1, it really is about these heavy hitters who aren't doing something. And
why can't you be a Debbie Downer about the NFL? It sucks right now.
Yeah, and I guess, again, I would just go back to my original point. I think the big reason why the attitude is that it sucks is because the Kansas City Chiefs have been uninspiring. I get more takes about Travis Kelce transforming from the guy who knew every rap lyric to something what you knew in college and his overall look to now being completely transformed by Taylor Swift, and they're out and about and, oh my, you can tell they've been making out, rather than, I know it's the stupidest things that I see on social media, dude, to, from where we were a couple years ago, where you had this, can you believe what Patrick Mahomes just did?
You mean with the cheetah?
With the cheetah. We're not even getting that.
Right.
We're not even getting that. Because it's not sexy with the way the Chiefs are winning. They're getting by with defense and some luck.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame the Chiefs for the NFL's problems.
I see. This is where I will double down on this. The history of the NFL's popularity in the last 10 to 15 years has been about passing. It's been about dynamic quarterback play. And Patrick Mahomes has been a big reason for that. And we're just not seeing it. For whatever reason, we're just not seeing it. And that's okay. I'm not trying to tell you like Patrick Mahomes is washed or whatever it is, because there's also the three-peat fatigue. Like,
it's never been done before.
We got to go through this. We got to get to the regular season. We got to, like, quote unquote, save ourselves or whatever it is. It's kind of like with the Golden State Warriors, right? Let's wait until we get to the postseason before we really see it. We've seen it locally with basketball teams, right? Like Carolina. You asked the question, true or false, 2009 Carolina squad, right? Didn't really matter what they did in the regular season, even though they trucked everybody. Everybody was just waiting to see what happened when they got to the postseason. And of course, they got it done. I think the same thing's going to happen with Kansas City the rest of the season. It's really not about what they're doing week to week, because what does it mean? Oh, congratulations. You got over on the Chiefs in a regular season game. Slow clap. Doesn't matter. Do it in the postseason. I think that's kind of where we're at right now with the NFL. And it makes for a little bit of a slog of the regular season. Big thanks to DraftKings for being a corporate champion. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG24. You bet $5, you'll get $200 in bonus bets that you can use for futures. I'm assuming that the Chiefs' futures bets on DraftKings right now is still very just like the de facto thing, right?
So you can get the Chiefs with this Hutchinson injury.
Yeah.
You can get the Chiefs and the Lions now. Name the finalists.
Mm-hmm.
That means you don't need to pick the winner.
Okay.
You just need to pick the two teams who will be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
At plus 2,500. If you're telling me that's not the best value on the board right now,
yeah,
I get it. The two teams who we all think are going to be in the Super Bowl very rarely end up in the Super Bowl.
But at plus 2,500?
That's amazing value to
Okay.
me. And it went up this week because of the Hutchinson injury.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can still see the Lions getting there even without Hutch, because we don't know what kind of move they might make. You know, getting back to who you're going to trade this week from the Panthers. Well, I brought up Jadeveon Clowney yesterday. These are things to keep an eye on. So that's futures. But with DraftKings, you could do something simple as, well, who's going to score a touchdown first? Anytime touchdown, all that kind of fun stuff.
How about this?
Yeah.
I did my first real life, grown up, actual money reverse jinx bet yesterday. I bet on the Indians.
Okay.
Because the Yankees are like the last team that I care about in real life. So I bet on the the Guardians yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I might have to do this again. So you know what I did today? Since I'm going over to the Lenovo Center tonight, I bet on the Devils.
Okay.
Because wow, it would really be a shame if the Devils won. Wow, that would be terrible if the Devils lost. Excuse me. That would be a shame. I would really hate to see.
I see.
I would really hate to see that.
In DraftKings, can you get odds on playoff like regular season game?
No, or must wins.
It's a must win.
Tonight's a must win. Tonight's not a playoff like. Tonight's a must win.
It's funny about the Canes. We'll get into this in lightning round. I'm very just wake me up when November ends. Okay, when it comes to the Canes.
I'm going to give you the old school, man. You'll know when you go.
Yeah.
Right? Like they only have 3 home games in October. I didn't get to know the opener.
Yep.
I feel like all I just need is to get over there and get the juices flowing again.
Head on over to, speaking of getting your juices flowing, go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that promo code OG24. Bet $5. You get $200 in bonus bets only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
Housekeeping. Brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com. ENOVANA.com. Green Cleaning Solutions. Guess what? They're coming to the house today.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
Head on over to OGTriangleMedia.com today. Sign up to be part of OG fans. We've got exclusive content there. We got podcasts like ACC Panic Room. A little late yesterday because of traffic coming back from Philadelphia. So Brownlow and I talked a little bit about how odd it is that both North Carolina and NC State fans are on the same page being ready for basketball season. And a little bit of ACC tip-off and our conversation with Jim Phillips, ACC commissioner, which you can check out on our YouTube channel or our previous podcast, and how you combat that narrative, if it's even worth combating right now when it comes to basketball. I think
you got to fight. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's worth fighting. The curiosity is how they go about it. So that's all on OGTriangleMedia.com. You got a little something today on the newsletter?
I do. I have my first projection for the college football playoff. I'm very excited about that.
Man. You know what? We'll do this in lightning round because I'm a little about this, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. Also, go to breakingt.com/OG where you can find our merch. You can check out our t-shirts. We've got like the Dead Conference. We've got the one Carolina Cougar shirt that Gilio still doesn't understand, but there are some people who have purchased it and absolutely ride with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like my Jennifer Connelly reference yesterday. If you know it, you know it.
Yeah, I still don't know that one, but that's okay.
Go watch Career Opportunities, transport yourself back to 1991, put yourself in that mindset, and then you'll
She
be like,
naked in the movie?
no.
Oh.
No. I think it came out in 91. I think so. Anyway, so that's over at breakingtea.com/OG. They got hoodies, they got shirts, they got V-necks, they got dress your kids when you drag them out to the
If we have the mall in that movie?
Yes.
Okay. You sure she's not naked in that movie?
I don't think she is.
Okay.
I don't think she is. Anyway, go buy a go buy a Breaking Tea shirt for your kids. Bring them out to the press conference, and it's not a home field.
Okay.
One. Trauma dump happens in the home field.
Okay.
All right. Big thanks to Breeze Through for sponsoring us. Check them out online at breezethrough.com. If you want to tailgate and you don't have a spot, well, guess what? Breeze Through has a spot for you. First come, first serve. I think it was $20 to park. They got the food truck outside. You can take your road soda with you and head over to the arena or head over to Carter Finley Stadium. And it's all thanks to our friends at Breeze Through. If you got the full tailgate spread, by all means, go to thebutchersmarkets.com. You can sign up for things like Steak of the Month Club, but more importantly, they've got stuff marinated and ready to go. And you just buy it, put it in the cooler, head out to your favorite stadium or arena, throw it on the grill, you're ready to go. Or if you're entertaining, because we're getting close to entertaining season. Sides, appetizers, all that stuff. It's all at the Butcher's Market. And we've been talking about Lenovo Center. Guess what debuts tonight, Joe?
What?
At the Lenovo Center. Are you ready for the Slavin Sunday?
Is it time?
The Slavin Sunday. My sources tell me.
My
sources being Jared from Two Roosters. The Slavin Sunday is popping at the main stall at Lenovo Center. It is layers of brownie, vanilla ice cream, hot fudge, Heath bits, red sprinkles. All that times 2 in a cup. Okay.
Nice.
So head on over to the arena today if you're going to the Devils game and go check out this Slavin Sunday. We still got to work on our own flavor.
We got a green light on this or no?
No, we do.
Oh, okay.
My sources have told me
Your sources, we have a green light for an
green
OG?
light. We just got to decide what
Not
it is.
the Cuban coffee
No,
cannoli?
my suggestion for
Because he has a great coffee base.
is to do a Cuban coffee cannoli or a dulce de leche cannoli. So you get the dulce de leche with cannoli bits inside of it.
Cannoli and coffee is good because
Cannoli and coffee is good.
Cannoli.
Yes.
Huh.
In fact,
I got to use my brain a little bit.
the
more on
fair
this.
is actually introducing a deep fried cannoli.
Oh, how'd you do yesterday?
I didn't go yesterday.
Okay.
I had a family thing come up, so unfortunately I couldn't make it out there. They're concerned.
Say that's your Super Bowl, man.
I know. You know.
Right.
The folks at the fair are concerned when I emailed them with, "Hey, something came up, couldn't make it. Apologies." They're like, "Yeah, we were worried. Like you've never missed one." I'm like, "No, I know. I know.
A lot of travel.
I know. But I will be at the fair. I'll try out some of this stuff. But yeah, I saw they voted the best new food was like this pork belly bao bun. That looked really delicious. The bao buns are done right, nice and fluffy. Then I'm gonna have to go check that out. But regardless, when you go to the arena tonight, go to Two Roosters and check out the Slavin Sunday. Man, that was a long wind up to tell you to go buy a sundae at Lenovo Center tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Goodness gracious. And the Lightning Round is brought to you by Sam Jones Barbecue in downtown Raleigh. Yes, they've got their location in Greenville. So if you're listening to us in the East 95, by all means, you know about Sam Jones. But you might not know here in Raleigh. And we're talking classic Eastern style barbecue with a lot of history behind it. It's so good that even Gilio went, oh.
Uh-oh. I've never had this.
Oh.
I've had the real stuff.
Now we just have to convert you on the corn pone versus the cornbread muffin.
No, I was fine with it.
I feel like we could do an entire episode on just the cornbread itself. Yeah. I'm a fan of it. Some people get really opinionated about it. I think it's good with the barbecue.
Michael's going to join us next week. We'll have to get the full story.
I was going to say, we're going to have to get the story behind that.
On the cornbread. But the beans are my The beans are my official Gilio
Yeah.
item on the menu where you're like, okay, what did Gilio fall in love with here?
Now, we mentioned the Carolina Hurricanes a few times. And again, they're against the Devils tonight. It's a must win. It's what I'm shoulder shrug about the Canes. I think it's going to take a while before we see the fully formed operational thing. I know Luke DeCock wrote about this in the News and Observer, in that you have two competing narratives with the Carolina Hurricanes. You have the national conversation. Our friend Greg Wyshynski, who
Hating ass Greg
on the Panthers, New Jersey guys, the Devils are the darling this year. The Devils were positioned to be the darling this year. Yeah. We all knew this. This shouldn't surprise anybody that the Devils are going to be the darling, right? And when you lose a chunk of your players through free agency and the like, yeah, and you're relying on guys who haven't consistently done it, like I'm looking at Kotkaniemi, for instance, then there's going to be a little bit of a wait and see attitude with the Canes. But as Luke pointed out, there's a lot of Tulsky fingerprints on this roster. And there's some website that he referenced that showed you talked about value in the DraftKings thing. Who they add, who they put on in terms of the contracts they sign and the production they give you. The Canes actually have one of the most value-driven lineups out there in terms of what they're paying and the production they get. And with Rod in the system, you expect us to be pretty darn consistent. I think the Canes are kind of in the same boat as we talked about some previous teams in the NFL. I know they can get it done in the regular season. I know what Rod Brindamore is capable of doing in the regular season. Much like last year, I really wasn't getting too high or too low with what I saw in the regular season. It was about, okay, what happens in the postseason? This year is more of the same. To me, it's just get to the postseason, which I'm confident they will do. After that, man, you just let that thing ride, see where it goes.
I think you have the wrong analogy here.
Okay.
I think you're looking for NC State basketball last year or Carolina basketball in 22. This is a portal team.
You're waiting on the heater?
Yeah. No. The Canes are a portal team.
Oh, okay.
They have a bunch of new additions, and they're probably not going to look that great in the first month, especially when they go on their trip here at the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they get back home, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble, is my crystal ball read right now.
Okay.
And then they're going to get back and they're going to start figuring some things out. And then by January, when all of their defensive parts start figuring out the system and maybe some of those quote unquote value players start chipping in some goals, you'll be like, oh, this is what the team is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you have a real transitionary period here for the Hurricanes this first month or two of the season.
So Sarah Sivian, our friend, started up a newsletter because that's what we do in 2024. You start up a newsletter. And how she kicked off her newsletter was, this is another issue I have with the Carolina Hurricanes. The season just kind of starts. And like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever.
Or they went to, in the NHL in general, went to Europe, like didn't tell anybody. The games were at like 2 a.m.
That's the problem. So Sivian's first two newsletters were about fixing the start of the NHL season. And I get the thought experiment, but it's a trick question. The start of the NHL season, much like the start of the NBA season, much like the start of the college basketball season, there's really nothing you can do. The seasons just sort of start. You don't have a historic baked in thing like MLB opening day, which which is like a national holiday
really
for some people.
Anymore.
And to your point, yeah, it doesn't really exist anymore. But the old timers will tell you, oh, I remember getting taken out of school for opening day. It's the greatest day in sports and all this other stuff, even though it's not what it used to be. Season just kind of starts, y'all. I'm not quite sure what you can do, especially when we understand it's a slog. I mean, we're talking 82 games here.
I actually thought the NHL could have learned something from the pandemic.
Okay.
In the sense that they could have flipped their calendar. Because part of all these leagues you're competing with the NFL.
This is true.
Well, how do you not compete with the NFL?
Well, you don't play when they're playing. Simple as that. Oh, I've said that about college basketball the longest time.
Yes.
College basketball should start in January.
Yes.
But, who am I, right?
Yeah.
I guess we're not a consulting firm that charges $10,000 an hour to come up with obvious ideas you can skim from Twitter.
People would be mad. I get all that. But
I don't think they'd be mad.
It would be an interesting process, that's for sure.
So what you're talking about is pushing the NHL season all the way into July.
August.
Heck. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, go.
In the pandemic, did the season wrap up in August? When they were in the bubble? I can't remember. I thought it was like late July.
It was probably late July.
Yeah.
But like, it just felt like
just walk it up to preseason.
You're like looking around. You're like, man, this is kind of awesome. There's nothing else going on right now. Like, and I get that. They have that to a certain extent in June.
Yeah.
When they play their finals. Like that NBA hockey, they have that now. I understand that. But
yeah.
it does feel like you could probably get off of this crazy part of the calendar. And I know someone in Canada right now is probably like,
Screw you.
hey, it's a
Stupid
winter
Americans.
sport, asshole.
Yeah, and the other thing too that Sivian addresses is something that I've seen some other places. I'll read a study every so often about like what Gen Z is into.
Okay.
And
Remind me again, which one is Z?
Gen Z is Jackson and Caleb.
Okay. The total youths.
Yes.
Okay.
We're talking 16,
Born in
17,
08.
18.
Okay.
Yeah, 18 years old, right? Jacob, who's 13, he's Gen Alpha. If we're
Which is
being
really
technical.
Y or no, after.
It's after. Yeah, we're
X,
beyond.
Y, Z,
Yeah,
A,
we're
alpha.
Yeah, we're
Got it.
beyond that.
Got it.
So the thing that people are obsessing over right now is Gen Z. How do you get teenagers into sports?
Okay.
And a study that I had come across was pretty illuminating in that like Gen Z kids don't look up to like actual real people in terms of like Hollywood, right? Like when we were growing up, there was like an actor or a musician that we were all about, right? So now they look up to fictional characters like Captain America or Thor or Spider-Man or Batman or some anime character. And the only real humans that show up in these lists tend to be athletes. The wildest part is that Gen Z still knows who Michael Jordan is, even though he hasn't played in 20 some odd years. Weird. So I know, right? It's almost like we're inundated with Michael Jordan legendary stuff all the time.
Had nothing to do with a 10-part documentary that came out in the pandemic.
It has nothing to do with the shoes or any of that
shoes.
stuff, right? Or the schools that have the Jordan brand and all that kind of stuff. So tying this back to the NHL is that they're obsessed with how do you approach Gen Z. It's like we're going to be the sport that cracks the code of Gen Z. The problem is, I'm not quite sure what NHL personality is out there that's going to be very social media driven, that's going to attract that. Unless you're positioning it as watch these incredible plays and partnering yourself with like the bar down dudes who can kind of like speak Gen Z. If that's the play, okay, I see where you're going with it. If you're baking it into your personalities, I mean, what do we know about the NHL? They might have personalities, they don't necessarily show it.
Yeah.
You know? Although, unless we sometimes get that out of Sebastian Aho when he says it's fine in a way that clearly shows you it is not fine when he gets beat in Tetris. Brian's Julian Casablancas is just so on point, man. Right down to the mumbling. We getting the Subway Series Part 2 or nah? Mets and Dodgers are tied at 1 apiece. Yankees won.
Yankees are going to be there.
Okay, Yankees will be there.
I'll curse them. I'll keep cursing. I'll keep taking Cleveland on the bets.
Hey, either way, Major League Baseball wins. Yankees are going to be there. On the other side, you're either going to get the Dodgers or you're going to get the Mets. Who says no?
Yeah, the Dodgers losing game 2. The Dodgers pitching is problematic. The Mets do seem to be on a heater. Mm-hmm. But all of the teams who were on a heater, San Diego, Detroit, and the Mets, it does seem like it's been closing time for them. So we'll see what the Dodgers cook up. I mean, did you see the graphic that Ohtani's like 16 of his last 19 at the plate? Like,
I know.
He's on molten. That's bizarre. That's crazy.
He's on an all-timer right now, and that's why I think if you get into the what's good for baseball, you're gonna want
Yankees Dodgers.
You're gonna want Yankees Dodgers.
Yeah,
straight up. Both coasts, 2 iconic franchises,
the 2 best players in baseball.
Let's go.
Yeah,
right, that's what you want. I'll watch that.
Even though Mike Stanton's the one who's cooking for the.
That's true.
I think he changed his name back.
I guess the question that I have is if we get Mets and Yankees for Subway Series Part 2, does it have the same charm as the first go round? Like you're not going back to the well.
No, it never will, because you got to remember forever the 2 teams never played.
Right.
And then all of a sudden there was interleague play, and I think it was only 1 series a year.
Something like that.
And then all of a sudden they're in the World Series together.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good. It was pretty cool.
No, I'm not
cool.
I'm not dismissing the first go round. I just don't, because of interleague play, I just don't know if it has the same charm as it once did.
No, it doesn't. And you're also, then you'd have like the rest of the country being like, really? I'm going to watch this.
Yeah, more.
Ohtani's on some kind of heater, man. Like
I'd watch that. I'll definitely watch that.
Topic, stack it up. Julio, throw back it up. Well, I know what we'll do. A lightning round.
Do you buy Oregon coach Dan Lanning's explanation that the 12th man penalty, 12 men on the field penalty late in their win against Ohio State was done on purpose? Quick context if you missed it or if you didn't see the highlights or whatever it is. So Oregon takes the lead against Ohio State with a $1:47 left in the game with a field goal. It's plenty of time for the Buckeyes to get down to the field. So Ohio State's looking at a 3rd and 25 from the Oregon 43-yard line. The Ducks call a timeout with 10 seconds left. And just before the ball is snapped, one of the was Dante Manning, the defensive back, goes onto the field. That's too many men on the field, 12 men on the field. And that was flagged for an illegal substitution, which means there's a clock runoff. So Ohio State gains 5 yards on the penalty, but they lose 4 seconds on the clock due to the penalty being deemed a live ball foul. That leaves the Buckeyes with 6 seconds left to work with. And of course, we know how that ends. A scramble, the game's over, and that's the end of it. And Dan Lanning says, we practiced that.
It's not a clock runoff. It's just the play happened. You can't have the time back.
Oh, you can't have the time back. My bad.
So
my mistake.
It's still pretty smart. Obviously, it can backfire on you. I would almost like say commit another penalty because you got to make sure that they don't score on that play or something stupid doesn't happen on that play.
True.
Right?
This is true. This is
you're
true.
kind of rolling the dice a little bit there. And I learned this first year covering Duke. I remember they had a fake punt where, if you're the last person on the line of scrimmage, I don't know if you know this. And I did not know this. Okay. If you're the last person on the line of scrimmage, that means you're an eligible receiver.
Okay.
So flash forward in your brain to the Colts cockamamie fake punt that they tried to run against the Patriots.
Okay.
The infamous play, right? The center becomes eligible on that alignment because he's the last person on the line. So Ted Roof, before they played a game, I think it was Clemson, he goes to the officials in their meeting and says, hey, I have this play.
Okay.
I want to make sure you understand when I run it, this is what I'm doing. And I want to understand that we're all on the same page. Here's what I'm doing. I'm putting a guy at the end of the line of scrimmage as the center. He's an eligible receiver. The officials say, yeah, either they say, yes, that's legal, or they say, no, you can't do that. Right?
Okay. Gotcha.
So I think what Dan Lanning probably did was tell the officials at the beginning of the game, hey, here's something that we work on. And if it gets into this situation, I just want to make sure we're all in this. No, I'm saying they do this.
I know.
I'm telling you, they do this.
I know.
Okay?
I guess this is why they're up at 3:00 in the morning getting to the office.
Because otherwise, why would the officials, yes, they all count on every play. Sure. I mean, you got that stadium going berserk, going all this other stuff. But I do remember Ted, and they got flagged on the play. And I said to him after, I go, what happened? And he goes, I have no idea. I met with them in the morning. I told them to play. I told them this was what we were doing. Here's the eligible receiver. And they flagged us for it anyway.
Fair enough.
There are many topics for lightning round today on OG.
I don't know that one.
That's Postal Service, Such Great Heights. You know the song. I am trying. Because we're getting close. We're getting close to those Tuesday college football playoff look-ins, right? And I looked at Heather Dinich doing essentially college football bracketology, and I couldn't, man.
Way to OG fans, man. Way to go.
I just couldn't. I mean, maybe you can get me into it. I don't know. Like, I did find the Group of 5 situation interesting. The Group of 5 automatic qualifier is wide open right now with the likes of JMU, which I know that if they do get in the college football playoff, Mac Brown will tell you, hey, look, we lost to a team that's in the college football playoff right now. That's a good team. We put 50 points on them. They put 70 on you, but that's neither here nor there. Boise State's obviously in the mix. Liberty is the schedule darling. They're the equivalent of, but your schedule, strength of schedule is like 356. I don't care if you beat Auburn, right? So Liberty's in that mix. Army, Navy, top 25 right now. UNLV's in that mix. Memphis, Tulane, that's all in there. But it probably comes down to JMU and Boise State at this point. I find that interesting. Where I can't right now is because there's way too much football left. Is like, well, Alabama and Clemson are positioned for an 8-9 game with the winner that gets to play. Who would they play? Texas as a number 1 seed, right? So I just I can't, man. But you have a smirk on your face. You're hype. You got brackets. You got brackets ready to go.
I am, because I'd have Alabama in the 8 games. But I got Miami losing to Clemson. Do we really think those two, that Clemson and Miami, are getting to Charlotte, and Clemson's not is going to let Miami get over on them? Like, isn't that a classic fuck you, we're still Clemson game?
Yeah, Clemson's going to win the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that gives us Alabama, Miami, which would be a pretty fun game. It would probably be at Alabama.
Yeah, I can see that.
Then the winner gets Texas. Yeah, I like that. I have Texas won. I have Ohio State too, but you're sitting there going, yeah, but Oregon won. Sure.
Mhm.
If they play again, you're telling me that Oregon's going to win on a neutral site without their, bullshit penalties or whatever the hell's happened in that game?
Mhm.
I don't think so. That's me though. I got Clemson 3. I got BYU 4. I can tell you're already checked out. It's fine. I've got 4 SEC teams in. My 4th one is ATM.
They didn't need automatic qualifiers to get 4?
Unfortunately, I've got Notre Dame in the field. If you look at their schedule,
But Heather's got Notre Dame as the first 4 out.
yeah. Unfortunately, I think we're looking at Notre Dame getting in part because all of these SEC teams that are on the list are all playing each other. That's why I have ATM in. They have the easiest schedule.
All right. There's your bracketology. We can start doing this every week.
We can certainly will.
Big thanks to Hometown Realty. Check them out online, myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence. Guaranteed offers, not the move in this market. You're leaving money on the table for real. So head on over to myhtr. You buy that house, you sold that house, you got to close it, take it to our friends at Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Maybe you spent an inordinate amount of time on I-85, I-95, the Baltimore-Washington Expressway, stuck in traffic, speed traps. And you did get a ticket. Well, they can handle that too for you. Just ask Joe Giglio. He's had to handle it. I'm impressed. Did you come back from Tennessee without a ticket?
I didn't drive.
See?
No tickets.
There you go. No traffic violations for Joe Giglio. But if you happen to find
The only way to
yourself in that
win the
situation
game
is to not play. If you played the game, go to wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. You mentioned that you saw the home field pop up at the Tennessee game. I'm rocking the home field hoodie today because we're officially in hoodie season right now. This is from the Sports Podcast Festival, which, look, these hoodies, once you get your hands on them, you feel how comfortable they are, you're going to fall in love with them. So head on over to homefieldapparel.com right now. Use that promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. And while you're at it, check out the hats, the bombers, the coaches' jackets, the pullovers, all that fun stuff. It's all at homefieldapparel.com. Use that promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is the mayor of the ACC.
Oh,
He is
stop.
West Durham, ESPN, ACC Network. I mean, look, you must have had some important official business because you were missed at ACC tip-off last week, Wes.
I appreciate that. Actually getting ready to come to Raleigh to do the Syracuse and NC State game on Saturday night, the Falcons and Panthers on Sunday in Charlotte. So had plenty of work to do here in the metropolitan Cartersville layer, as they say. And but sorry I missed you guys. I do appreciate, by the way, Giglio's 5 questions. I really appreciated that, especially Skokie, Illinois, right at Shire. I mean, that's like a slider on the edge. Shire missed the slider. And then I will say, I thought the banter on Hubert Davis and the best Carolina team was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have loved to have seen the Drunken Wolf for Kevin Keats on the propaganda that actually did go out at Reynolds. I'm old enough to remember things like that happening.
Yeah, you know that's a real thing. You know
that's a real thing.
That's a real thing.
That was a real thing.
True.
So I'm proud of you boys for your efforts. Despite the land of Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster and John Fanta being a part of the populace, as they say.
We even got Kirshner involved for like a brief minute there.
I heard Kirshner made an exclusive appearance on the OG.
Steve Kirshner. For those who don't know who Steve Kirshner is, he is essentially the keeper of the history of UNC basketball in a lot of ways.
Now.
And his technical, he has a much longer title, but he's the SID, right?
Yep.
And while he's coming over to the table to wrap things up, and like, if somebody's going to have an opinion on this, an informed opinion, Steve is going to have one,
and Steve too. Yeah.
So that's why I just kind of threw it his way on that one.
I like how Hubert answered the question though, Joe. I did. I really thought and then Ovius got his flowers for 12, which I appreciate. But I love the fact that Hubert wasn't going to take Walt out of it from the 77 team.
Yeah.
And he went 82, which is a really good team. And 09 is just silly how good that team ended up being historically, I think.
I would love to live in a universe where we could watch 84 Carolina play 99 Duke.
Oh, God.
That's the game I want to see.
I think 84 Carolina, 99 Duke. I would take 74 NC State, 92 Duke.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a really good game because then you would have Leitner, Tommy Burleson, Grant Hill, David Thompson.
Oh, I'm not entertaining who's the best ACC team.
No, I'm not either.
It's
But
never
I think,
before. I mean,
but here's the thing. And when we get to this point of the year and we start talking about this, 18 team parade we're getting ready to do, right?
yes,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
And
Get me in
it is a
basketball,
lot.
guys. Get me there.
I mean, it's a whole lot. But the idea of now qualifying what we had 25 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, it just shows you how special it was in that time machine from like 1972 really to about 2012. I mean, that's a long time. That's a 40-year swing where the ACC was a dominant basketball conference almost every year nationally. And it's fun. It was fun to hear those conversations last week because I think there is a lot of value in continuing to be the keepers of the history a little bit for the conference.
I joked with Brownlow on Panic Room yesterday. Typically, I go to ACC tip-off, and I'm not in basketball mode.
Sure.
But this year, because of the way things have played out with both NC State and North Carolina, I did find myself in basketball mode because I think the fans are just kind of like over what's going on in the football season. So as I go into basketball mode and the AP Top 25 preseason comes out, I was somewhat. I get that the AP Top 25 is not as meaningful in this day and age of college basketball, but it does kind of set the table for how we're going to talk about things. And I was surprised that there's only 2 ACC squads in the top 25, and they're Duke and Carolina.
Right.
I was surprised by that. They're both in the top 10. I mean, we live in a world where High Point has one more vote than NC State that got no votes.
Yeah, and you also
surprising.
But let me also offer this real quick too. I think what we also have to understand is we really don't know.
No,
because the rosters change more like AAU teams now than they ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore somebody like Virginia, I'll give you an example. I happen to think Virginia might be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know that, but I see the pieces that Tony's put together. I see a little bit of the recruiting. I realize they probably by their standard had a bit of a down year. I also happen to think Clemson's going to be pretty good. Well, how can you say that? They lost arguably one of the greatest players in Clemson history, in P.J. Hall. But I also see what Clemson has back. Chase Hunter, dynamic guard who had a terrific NCAA tournament. I think Ian Shefflin, I think we could argue one of the most improved players in the ACC a year ago. And then I look at the pieces they've added. Jaden Zachary was a guy at Boston College. Now, was he the guy? Debatable, but he was a guy who could go get points, get stops, do things in transition. So I just use those 2 teams as another example. I think your point about NC State's well made. By the way, Forbes and Wake Forest are going to be terrific.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard for Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest is going to make the NCAA tournament this year because I think he's got a really good basketball team. So let's let this thing play out.
We've heard that before about Wake
I know.
Forest. I think this is a very crucial year for C. We are fans of C4. We are
Absolutely
not shy about that.
Right.
Being my deeks.
Because I think we need characters like Steve Forbes in the ACC. But this
Agree.
is a real make or break year for Steve and the direction of his program.
Well, but also I think they're on the list. I would put Kevin's team at NC State on the list too. I think they're going to be pretty good, just given Huntley Hatfield and I forgot Mike. Give me an example where I am with basketball. I had to go back and reread the roster last week just to do some other things. Mike James is on that team. Mike James gets buckets in the ACC. That's not a guy that can't come in the ACC and score. Plus, I know O'Connell's back, and that's good, and Jaden Taylor's back, and those are guys that were, certainly pieces to their success last year.
My favorite part of my Hubert Davis conversation was me telling the North Carolina coach, what's really important in North Carolina basketball?
Yeah.
Your point guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone has ever explained this to you, but I'm going to double down on this point.
Yeah, Hubert, just so you know, I think you should know
I really do think Ellie Cadeau is going to be much better this year.
He needs
Agreed.
to.
He had flashes last year. They were at their best when he was at their best last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think those wings are
Powell
really,
and Jackson.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
do
think
too.
Powell is the kind of athletic wing back in the day you'd show up. Because remember, Dean would hide them and then wouldn't let them talk to anybody. And then all of a sudden, the Antoine Jameson shows up and puts 40 in your mouth, and you're like, "Where did he come from?"
Yeah,
I don't know
Antoine.
how he can score 40, but I think he's going to be athletic.
Like Antoine Jameson going to Maryland for his first conference game and having 26 and 14, and people go, Coach, after the game, well, Antoine's been very good in the preseason workout. We're quite pleased with his development as a player.
You know how we keep stats.
That's your favorite.
Adamola Okalaja.
Oh, God bless him. God bless Adamola.
Screens that he set for
Yeah.
Anton. He couldn't have scored.
That is my favorite. How do we keep our stats?
Keep stats.
Yes.
Oh, the coach's assist. The assist that leads to the assist.
The assist. They got the hockey assist. You got the free throws. The assist off the free throws.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I'm curious, Wes. You're just coming off an Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers game.
Ooh.
Apparently, as we mentioned at the start of the podcast, apparently your kicker's talking shit to the Carolina Panthers by saying "keep stankin." So that's good.
Youngway's dropping dimes on the Panthers.
Yeah. Apparently, according to Vashti over at Carolina Blitz, is they were walking off, look at the media contingent, instead of "keep pounding," he says "keep stankin." Which, I mean, you know what? Hey, man, you won the game. It is what it is. From your perspective, when you were prepping for this game,
sure,
and what you saw on Sunday,
right?
What's your kind of 5,000-foot view of this Panthers team right now with Dave Canales in year one?
Well, let me go to the card here because I want to make sure I get all this right.
Okay.
And when I say go to the card, I'm going to the card. Okay. First of all, you don't have a right tackle.
Yeah.
You don't have a center. You don't really have a backup center because he was in concussion protocol. You don't have a tight end because he concussed himself. You've got a 36-year-old quarterback who right now is probably the better of the two quarterbacks.
I was going to say Andy Dalton's fine.
Right.
I mean, yes.
Okay.
Were there interceptions? Yes. But
sure.
He's been fine.
Okay. So let's just think you got Taylor Moton, who's made 100 and some starts at right tackle. He's not playing. Okay. Ikwanu had some flashes, but he also had 2 penalties. So that's the offensive side of the ball. Okay. The defensive side of the ball, there's a lot more red on the chart. Josie Jewell's not playing. Jadeveon Clowney may have been a healthy scratch. I don't know. You lost Derek Brown, right? You've lost Shaq Thompson. You're basically kind of, candle wax and baling wire in the secondary, it feels like. So here's the thing. What are the Carolina Panthers? When you're at your healthiest core, what are you?
Mm-hmm.
Chuba Hubbard, you paid a lot of money for Miles Sanders. He plays 1 down a series. He plays 3rd down. I actually like Jatavius Sanders. I like the rookie from Texas at tight end. I like Jalen Coker, but you drafted Jonathan Mingo a couple of years ago. Deontay Johnson, I think, has become a pretty good player for you. Chuba Hubbard is very good. I think Chuba Hubbard can do some things for you if the line is healthy. You don't have any kind of demanding momentum on either side of the football right now. That's the biggest concern I see in Carolina. And then there's this outlying question. And it's going to stay there. It's not going anywhere right now, in my opinion. What are you going to do with Bryce Young? Not only did you draft him first, you traded like reliable players, DJ Moore, and picks to get him. So whatever happens in this
cost at this point, you're not getting those picks back. I mean,
right?
There's no 90 days since purchase receipt type situation here.
So, but the short term question is, what's your answer? That's like between now and the end of the year, you might win 4 games. You might win 5 games. Who knows? You catch a heater, you might win 6. You go 6 and 11 on the year. But the answer is not going to change to the question, until you get to the offseason at this point is what are you going to be? And here's the other thing, too, and we say this sometimes about the college game, Gilio. You might have to be patient. You might have to bite the bullet here. You can't go make another coaching change and another GM change and do all that.
Yeah.
You've got to deal. Dave Canales and Dan Morgan appear to be really good guys who are certainly qualified to go do this. You have to sit and let them do it. You cannot bail on this after 1 year again. You can't pull the Frank Reich thing, the Scott Fitterer deal. You got to go do it this way, I think.
Yeah, I think you get to December. So they have 4 games until their open date.
Right.
Their first game after the open date are the Chiefs. There's absolutely no reason to even try against the Chiefs. On December 1st, I think you start Bryce Young, Jonathan Brooks. Do not let Brooks play until December. Give him a whole year that gives him a whole year from the ACL injury.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like you mentioned, Sanders looks like he's got something working. Lead it again with the touchdown this week. I want to see more out of him. You trade Deontay Johnson, you get what you can for him. You trade Chuba Hubbard, you get what you can for him. And then you look at those young guys in December, and you tell Bryce Young straight up, here are the final 6 games of the season. You need to treat these like the final 6 games of your chance here in Carolina. This is it. This is your shot. If you cannot do it, we are moving off of you. We will have the number 1 pick in the draft or the number 2 pick in the draft. We are going to take a quarterback. This is what we're going to do.
And you're going to take a quarterback in a not a great quarterback draft.
It's not a great quarterback draft, but there's always somebody. There's always money in the banana stand.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take a quarterback, you're not taking him in the first round.
You don't have to.
I don't think you do.
Not now. You can take defensive guys in the first round.
Yeah, you got to take. I think where they are right now, their defense is so bad off. That's where you got to go.
Yeah,
that's
you got to take a pass rusher. You got to, or you know what? You can get veteran pieces potentially for the pick, but you got to be willing to part with the pick, like Chicago did a couple of years ago when Carolina wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Joe, I will say this: I think that's the right plan with Bryce Young. I saw it play out here a couple of years ago in Atlanta. Desmond Ridder got the 4-game showcase.
Yep.
Went 2-2.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst case scenario, right? If you're not good enough, if you're not too good and you're not too bad, you're sitting there going, well, maybe we can make this work.
Is the NFC South continues to be, the coastal died, but the NFC South continues to live, because some of the games that I'm seeing and the way they've played out have been some wacky ones, and Atlanta's been a part of that.
Oh man, let me tell you, up until last Sunday, we've been thrill a minute in Atlanta now. We don't know how to go away quietly.
I'm sorry, we live in a world where Baker Mayfield's dropping 50 some odd points now these days. I mean, it's an interesting division so far, but I do find it fascinating that Kirk Cousins. We know the book on Kirk Cousins. The question is whether or not it's going to work in Atlanta. And so far, he seems to be thriving a bit right now in Atlanta.
Well, let me just say, Kirk Cousins is eerily similar to the guy that won a lot of games here in 14 years. That's the thing. Kirk Cousins has calmed the quarterback position down because of his efficiency, because of his leadership, his understanding and willingness to build bonds with players and things like that. The thing I like about Kirk Cousins and continue to like about Kirk Cousins is he wants to connect with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's especially true when it comes to the wide receivers in the run game. Atlanta has also benefited from Zach Robinson understanding that while some days it might be a Bijan Robinson game, it can also be a Tyler Algier game. And you saw in the second half, Robinson was the dominant back in the first half, and who became the dominant back in the second half? As Dave Archer likes to say, the bowling ball of knives did. Because Algier just to grind you to death if you let him get warmed up. And see, Atlanta had shown you they could throw the ball in the previous game against Tampa. Sunday, they showed you they could run the ball. And I think that's something that they wanted to showcase, because these next 2 games now for the Falcons, the Seattle game on Sunday and the rematch with Tampa that follows, are going to be really, really big ball games in the big picture, I think, at the end of the year, if they're going to have a chance.
Don't besmirch the good name of the NFC South. There's been some interesting games in that division.
I'm calling it the coastal. I'm just.
I don't know if it's that much chaos yet, but 51 by Tampa on the road when they've been over there all week with, and by the way, shout out to the Glazer family for what they did to the Buccaneers. They took 400 people from the Tampa area, families, pets, all that, to New Orleans on like Tuesday ahead of the hurricane hitting, and got those folks to higher ground, so to speak. So, and then Tampa goes out and puts 51 on the Saints with Spencer Rattler starting, which is also really curious at this point. But and it takes the Saints out of their mold, and Dennis Allen and what they're trying to do with their offensive package just changed without Carr.
Has Kirk had the lemon pepper wings yet?
I don't know that.
I mean, because he's
too busy swag surfing right
Well,
now, Joe. We can't get ahead to the lemon pepper from Magic City yet.
I just feel like if he's already swag surfing as he went viral,
yeah,
point we gotta complete this thing to fully adopt Kirk to Atlanta is to get him that lemon pepper.
I'm imagining at some point somebody has shown up in the locker room with some lemon pepper wings.
Right. He's not going to Magic City. All right.
I feel confident.
Yeah, I can say with near certainty.
Yeah.
Not going to
the
Magic
guy from
City.
Holland, Michigan, probably not wandering into Magic City.
But I'm imagining Kirk's going to invite people over to have those weird marbled steaks that he had up in Minnesota there for a bit. The kidney steaks that he went viral for. And somebody goes, no, Kirk, let me put you some flavor, some seasoning here.
Yeah.
And which, dude, speaking of seasoning, we'll close on this because I realized that we have not really talked since ACC tip-off, and the fun and frivolity you miss when you're at ACC tip-off. Yes. So we are.
I was like, who told us this about the chicken?
We are unfortunately seated next to Josh Graham at WSJS.
Oh, the drive at WSJS, one of the legendary stations in the state of North Carolina.
So he's got BDOT dropping by.
Oh, great.
And they got on some odd conversation about seasoning.
Oh, no.
And
is Chilio going to be okay?
No, he's not.
No, I didn't think so.
And we come to find out that Josh is on some like Dan Orlovsky. He's just raw dog and chicken, like no seasoning or anything. He just washes the chicken and then throws it on the grill or whatever. And I'm just like, this is the most on point. Who doesn't season their chicken? Josh, apparently. Dan Orlovsky.
The quote.
Not
I
to
dry it off.
I dry it off.
Dry it off.
Yeah.
That's the answer?
Yeah.
I wash it, I dry it off, and then I put it on the grill?
Yeah. And it's like, Josh, this is why you don't get invited to things, because you probably like throw raisins into the potato salad. And you're like, I found this recipe on the New York Times cooking website. The app told me to put peas in the avocado. Peas in my guacamole. No,
you don't. No, we don't do that.
So yeah, are you surprised that Josh does not season his chicken?
Unfortunately, I'm not.
I think I guess the ACC.
So West, I got one day in the SEC.
Yeah. Guy shows up to a Tennessee game once, and then suddenly,
you got Smokey.
He's got Smokey.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like ACC tournament's not going to Atlanta anytime soon, is it?
I don't think so.
The league hates it there.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think the ACC's coming here. I think we're going to do Charlotte, Greensboro, DC.
I'm mad about that because if it
maybe
wasn't
Dallas, I tell you guys got to do. I'm gonna tell you now, you guys need to do the SMU trip.
Oh, we'll go. We'll go.
SMU's good times.
They'll pay for it too, because what's money to them?
Saturday, I'm gonna do Palo Alto. Looking forward to that.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
SMU at Stanford, the new frontier of the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Bring me back some apple beets, please. Thank you.
I'm thinking about we're thinking about bumping into the broadcast with the Star Trek music. Just kidding. Not going to do that.
I know.
Those of you watching in Charlotte, just kidding.
But we would take Josh Graham to Magic City for a cultural experience.
That would definitely go down on the subscriber site.
Yeah, that's an OG fans exclusive.
That's an OG fans exclusive.
Yeah, man. All right, West Durham, ACC Network, ESPN. We appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you later.
See you guys.
Always fun hanging out with Wes. Big thanks to Roback. Check them out online, roback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. We mentioned it is peak hoodie season. You want to get those hoodies in the rotation. I've seen a lot of like NFL coaches just wear hoodies now. That's just their thing right now. Dave Canales, when we were playing that clip earlier, just wearing hoodies. Hoodies, they're just a normal fashion choice now. So get the best ones. And we have, I think, the best roster of hoodies in America. And part of that is thanks to our friends at Roback. Check them out, roback.com.
Serious question for you.
Yeah.
How many units of Roback shirts do you think we can move?
Well,
because I talked to Ben, because I'm like, look, man, put the OG flag. You got the OG Crumple logo. You got the Drunken Owl. like how much?
Well,
what are we
here's-
looking
okay.
at here to get a
Okay.
Roback,
Okay.
an OG Roback shirt? And he said, well, the issue is you have to the min order is 200.
We could sell 200.
Okay.
It just depends on size. The size allocation, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
We could sell 200. It's the size allocation, I don't know. Because here's it's funny. Are we having a meeting? Hold on a second.
Yeah, have a
We're
meeting.
Damn it, we're having a freaking meeting. Hold on a second. Where's the meeting button? Where's my we're having a meeting. I went to Topgolf, as I mentioned yesterday.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me that the next style of shirt or something we should do is a riff on an old golf course.
Okay.
Because, we do defunct stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, what did the Cheviot Hills logo look like? Like I was just like, what is it? What do the old GGO look like?
Yeah.
I don't know, right? But I felt like maybe there was some sort of official OG golf polo we could do rather than a hoodie from Roback.
Oh, no, it would be a golf shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A golf shirt. Now, would you
That's
want?
what I'm saying. Like the drunken owl, our OG flag, the crumpled.
Yeah.
You just need all kinds of things that kind of indicate us. And I said double birds potentially.
Yeah, I don't
and
know.
Ben was like, I said, well, we wouldn't want to do that. Ben's like, if it's your shirt, you do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably put the flag on there. I would prefer to put the flag on there. We could probably put a yellow pad.
Oh, the dead conference.
We could put the deck. I would want to do something new. I want to do something new.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying there's a lot of different things you could put on
You
there.
could. But it's
The
also
owl needs to be on there though.
now. Is there a way to just do a logo,
One single one.
like a one single logo on the chest?
do whatever we want.
That's what I'm saying. And I would
think
make it
you're
look-
missing the point here though.
What's the point?
The outlay for the 200 shirts.
Well, yeah. What? No, I think we could sell 200 shirts.
Okay.
But based
I
on
mean, if
the
we could sell them, if we can move them, we could put the money down for them.
based on the rule of thumb.
Yes.
Based on the rule of thumb.
Okay. Give me the rule of thumb.
Typically, based on what our listenership is, about 10% of said listenership is motivated enough to spend money on that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Okay. It's one thing to go support a corporate champion, but in terms of like actually buying in for things like OG fans or breaking t-shirts or the hats or whatever it is, the rule of thumb is about 10% of what you would consider your P1s would buy it. So
Unless it's just straight fire.
there's that too.
Yeah.
Or because like I'm more inclined to do something that ties into the show that goes on Roback that somebody who doesn't know anything about the show would buy. Right. That's North Carolina themed.
Right. Hence straight fire. Yeah.
That's what, yeah. So there's that. So I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. But to sell 200 units from our audience, yeah, I think we could sell 200 units from our audience.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, just based on that 10% rule of thumb.
Well, that was the conversation that I had. So,
all right, meeting is over. The goal is, I told Ben the goal is to get a button down, a short sleeve button down, because that's what I wear.
what?
Because that's what I wear.
I don't think they even sell them.
They used to back in the day. Yeah, back in the day. Apparently, I have to go. I'm gonna have to go look them up. Anyway,
use the promo code.
Use that promo code. Big thanks to
Save some
Nature's.
money.
Big thanks to Nature's Relief. Nature's Relief. We're going to talk to Jennifer from Nature's Relief for the 919 Vice podcast this week.
You're on it. I
So,
like it.
So be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, go to naturesreliefhempstore.com. They got new products coming out all the time, different ways when it comes to
She had some different
Delta 9.
wines actually when we were in last time.
I think we're getting to taste test the finalized
Or was it a
versions
seltzer?
of
It was a
those.
wine.
No, it was a wine.
Yeah.
It was an alcohol-free wine that had THCA in it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're going to be trying today
Okay.
on 919 Vice. So you can go check that out over at Nature's Relief. And of course, our friends over at State Farm, Matt Davis, he would rock one of our polos. I'm going to rock a State Farm polo soon for Halloween. So
I like it.
go to insuregarner.com, theoginsurance.com, or call 919-779-8277.
I was going to say, make some plans to come see us on Halloween. We'll have Canes tickets to give away, not to that night's game, but to a game later in the season.
So several of our listeners, not 10% of them, but several of them, sent us an email that was sent to them from NC State athletics director Boo Corrigan. This is not some super secret email. It just, you just have to, if you're part of an NC State mailing list, if you've ever purchased tickets from NC State, you'll probably get an email like this. And this email from Boo Corrigan, as one listener asked us, hey, do you still have the rights to the fans later? I go, I have no idea, but we can run this through our own OG translator and, tell us what you think. And it reads like this: Wolfpack Nation, all caps, thank you. We want to take a moment to send a thank you to each and every one of you for always being there and standing with us. Wolfpack Nation has been tremendous so far in 2024, selling out every home game in football, marking 20 straight capacity crowds, lighting Charlotte red for the Duke's Mayo Classic, setting a new attendance record for our volleyball team, and eclipsing 3,000 fans at a men's soccer match for the first time since 2011. And you haven't just shown up, you've made your presence known. Thanks to your passion and love for the Wolfpack, the atmosphere at our games has been electric. That means so much to our student athletes and coaching staffs. Together, we will continue to fight, but please know how much we appreciate you. Thank you.
Look at Boo being the good cop. I did not have that on my bingo card this week.
What that mean? What am I missing?
So earlier last week, I think it was Dave's Monday press conference, his normal Monday Zoom call.
Yeah.
He had asked the fans to make sure that they stood up on third down.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Okay. It's not the first time Dave has asked the fans to be a particular way.
Sure, but it's classic Dave mismanaging his messaging. Like, read the room just a little bit, buddy. Like last year, he got all of his messaging right last year.
He did.
This year, it's been a little bit of a struggle, man. Like, hey, how about you worry about showing up for said Mayo Classic? How about, when you go to Clemson, maybe kind of remember that the game started at noon and not 1:30. Maybe just not worry about the fans right now. Take care of what you need to take care of. I think a lot of fans took that, particularly after the Wake Forest loss, was squarely on the coaching staff. You don't have a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter against a bad Wake Forest team and come to work on Monday and be like, you know what I really need to do? I need to tell the fans what to do.
Yeah.
It's like, just sometimes say it aloud in a room and let somebody have the messaging and help you, So I think Boo here is coming in to sweep after. And of course, Boo being Boo, it's not in person. It's not like reaching out to anybody. It's not anywhere else. It's, let's just send an email Let's send an email or put something on the socials.
Yeah.
Good work.
I'm not going to disagree with you that Dave's general attitude is that of a parent with a kid who didn't get what they wanted for Christmas. And then it's like, hey, you should be thankful for what you did get on Christmas.
Sure.
Okay. Because not everybody, it's like all of a sudden, We Are the World starts playing in the background. Right. So that's kind of like, I guess that's the kind of general attitude that's coming from Dave. And after 12 years, that message after a while starts to wear a little bit thin when, especially the way that this season was positioned and the money that was at. I think I figured out what the breaking point is now that I've seen enough of this. And I guess why Boo Corrigan would send this out. They asked for you to double down last year. Did Dave not give a press conference at the end of last year?
Oh, yeah.
Where he was like, hey.
After the Carolina game, before the bowl.
Before
losing in the bowl game.
But that's what you do. You're coming off a high, beating your rival. Just smacking your rival.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're hyped to go to this bowl game, blah, 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 blah. And the day and age that we live in, it becomes like, cool, you want this to keep going. Well, I need the money. All right.
Show me the money.
So people gave him the money. And this is the problem. My understanding is that if I read Tom's tweets correctly, right? Savage Wolves had a pretty good offseason, did they not?
Yeah, relatively speaking.
Okay.
But it's not like I just went to a Tennessee game where they paid their quarterback $11 million to play football this year.
Joe, we're not doing a 1-for-1 here with Tennessee and NC State.
I'm just pointing out.
Well, let's
NC
use
State's payroll is probably like $4 million.
Let's use your middle class analogy.
And there you go.
When you're a middle class family and your kid wants a car that now that they're 16, and what you can give them is a hand-me-down Civic,
not a Tesla,
yes. Whereas the rich family gives their kid at 16 the big fancy Tesla, right? Yep. You're going to come away going, like, hey, be happy with what you got.
Yep.
Okay. mean, I had that conversation with my parents when I got the 1991 Cougar as my first car.
I really wish you still had the Cougar.
Dude, that Mercury Cougar was not going to survive past 175,000
Does anybody
miles.
have a Mercury Cougar?
I saw one actually on the road. Not one of the newer ones. I'm actually more likely to see an old 1991 V6 Cougar, the XL, I think it was called, or the XLR or whatever it was. I had the LS with the moonroof, baby, and the pleather. I'm more likely to see that one than the redesigned, the last version of the Mercury Coupe. Cougar Coupe.
I can't think of the kid I went to high school with. His last name. His name was Damien, though. He was an Italian kid, and he had the devil's horn. He had the horn.
Yeah.
He had a Cougar.
Oh,
and he would blare James Brown is dead techno music out of the trunk. He had the tubes in the trunk.
He had the bazooka. Awesome. By the way,
what was Damien's last name?
Apologies. I did not wish you a happy International Italian Heritage Day
yesterday.
Yeah.
You mean Columbus Day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I felt like we had a scene from The Sopranos where we're all sitting around and what's his face from the E Street Band's going, this is Italian-American discrimination.
Our people, we're the last ones you're allowed to make fun of.
No, it's the Amish, actually. But anyway. So I guess
oh, my God. Can I tell you something?
What?
When I was in Charlotte last week, it was one of the, I mean, I don't know if it's funny or it just struck me as funny.
Yeah.
There were Amish people, I'm going to assume, at the hotel that I was staying at.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy downstairs trying to explain to the Amish group what a Google Sheet was.
Oh, geez.
And it was a guy like in his 60s explaining to these older Amish people. Well, they have this Google Sheet, and he was literally explaining what a Google Sheet was. You know how you used to get on me all the time about when I would have to explain in Marvin Austin stories and Greg Little stories about Twitter and social media, and there would always be little things that you'd have to spell out as a part of AP style and newspaper writing style, and you'd be like, "Oh, thanks, Joe. Thanks for clarifying." This guy explaining to the Western PA people, "Hey, this is what a Google Sheet." And I'm starting to think in my brain, well, how would you explain what a Google Sheet to someone who's got no idea?
So back, awesome. We got on a tangent here with the Boo Corrigan's email and things like that. Look, the best I can tell is what's happening at NC State right now. I'll give you credit. You were ahead of the curve with the messaging around NC State being a middle class program.
Yeah,
and I think what's happening right now with NC State between Boo Corrigan and Dave Doran is, hey, be thankful for what you got. Okay, we've had a pretty good run in 12 years, all things considered. And we had a misfire this year. That doesn't mean we can't regroup. I'm sure there'll be some changes. Boo Corrigan has put Dave Doran in a position where he's had to make some changes before. I would imagine there will be some changes being made again at the coordinator position. Dave's not going anywhere unless he decides to take another job or retire. I don't see him getting fired.
Right.
Even if the season bottoms out, I think Dave has built up enough goodwill and has had some seasons where he's pulled this team out of the abyss when it easily could have gone in one direction, in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's built up enough goodwill with Boo. And as we learned last year, or last basketball season, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn by telling you the last thing Boo Corrigan really wants to do is fire somebody unless he really has to. And they gave Kevin Keats multiple opportunities to pull that thing out. And of course, they go on a Final Four run after winning the ACC championship. And Boo's like, great, I don't have to make a decision. Cool. So I think the same thing's happening here with Dave Doran. And Dave will have to make his own decisions as to what he wants to do with the coordinator position. And Boo will do what he can. All right, here's our budget. Here's the money that's coming in. Try to keep this thing together, and they'll come up with a better messaging program. So that's how I would equate what's going on with Dave and Boo, in that they're your classic middle-class parents telling you, the middle-class kid, yeah, I get it. Johnny got his BMW 5 Series for his first car. You get the 91 Cougar. Cool? That's a real thing that happened in my life. Cool? Cool. Be thankful for what you got. That's what it is. Of course, that's not going to stop fans from being mad. And that's what the OG Sports Phone kind of turned into. So let's go ahead and pump that, shall we?
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
So this came to us on Sunday morning at 12:12 a.m. I didn't play this yesterday, but I think it does kind of tie into some of the things we've talked about today.
Yo, Joe Bronies. What's up, guys? Man, the thing that kills me about being a State fan sometimes is these like God-fearing State fans like would rather me just not say anything than talk shit to these fucking Syracuse motherfuckers. Like starting orange chants in our stadium. I'm not allowed to curse at them because there's children around. Like, fuck you. So who fucking cares? There's children around. It's goddamn past 11 o'clock and there's children around. Who the fuck cares?
He used to move to Philly. I think that's where he needs to go.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
Can we, before you play the next one, can you get that guy's clip there of like, I can't cuss because there's children around? Who fucking cares? Can you add that to the end of the curse or don't? And then
maybe. This is from a 919 number from yesterday.
Hey there. So y'all talked yesterday about possible changes to each state down the road in terms of coaching. I have a question for the smaller programs that are in similar positions. Sean Clark at App State, Mike Houston at ECU. Are their seats hot as the fan bases claim they are to be? Are changes coming to App State and ECU?
it could be I was thinking of this yesterday. It could be a completely wild offseason here in the state of North Carolina.
It can be.
There could be 4 changes.
I had jotted that down for a future episode as we look ahead in that. I mean, it's easy to say that name the fan base that's actually happy with their college football coach right now. I mean, Duke's probably pretty happy with the way things have played out with Manny Diaz. I think they're pleasantly surprised by the way things have played out with Manny Diaz. But you look at Mike Houston at ECU, Sean Clark has been kind of fighting fans here for a bit. Biff is a character, but
well, they should be happy forever. They beat ECU.
They beat ECU, so things should be fine.
What else is there?
Again, Mac will likely retire at this point. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong when it comes to Dave Dorn. It's fine. But as it stands right now on what's today's date, October 15th, he will be the coach next year.
Oh, yeah.
Unless he decides on his own that he'd rather go fly fishing than deal with you ungrateful kids.
I think Sean Clark's probably in the same situation as Dave. He's done enough that you can point to and say,
yeah,
he deserves another year.
Yeah,
at least another year.
Houston, I don't know.
It's probably over for Mike.
Yeah, and that stinks. That stinks. All right, well, one more from the OG Sports.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Hey guys, I just wanted to give some advice to State fans as a State fan who survived the Daniel Evans and Marcus Stone era. If you want your grass to grow, you're going to have to aerate it first. Then after you seed, water it very heavily. Then once it's starting to grow, water it less often, but still heavy. That's about all the advice I have. Good night, guys.
As somebody who just aerated and seeded their lawn, that is very sound advice. And yeah, you got to water a lot, and then you water a little bit less. It is what it is.
A process.
That is the OG Sports Phone. Big thanks to O2 Fitness. Check them out, o2fitnessclubs.com. They are more than a gym.
O2 Fitness, so much more than a gym.
So, Jacob, we just got back from that hockey tournament, as I mentioned, and the coach decided, no off-ice workouts on a Tuesday night. Give you kids a little bit of a break before we get into some CHL play. But, of course, Jacob, the grinder, he's like, can we go to the gym on Tuesday anyway? So you'll probably see me at O2 Fitness a little bit later on today. You getting your neck, you just golfed yesterday, so I'm guessing you got some work to do today, right?
It's a good day, man. It's a good day. A little dry needling. Let's get some heat on there.
Yeah.
Let's get that thing worked out. Let's go.
So we got some things to get into in the Hey Joe, but regardless. So go to o2fitnessclubs.com. We mentioned Renew Physiotherapy, but there's also Loop Nutrition as well. Because the thing, look, you can go to a gym and work out and cool, whatever. It is what it is. But if you are looking for a place that has an incredible staff and has multiple aspects to full body wellness, well, this is where O2 Fitness comes into play. Yes, for me, it's just having a friendly staff, getting to the gym, getting a sweat in. And I have the option with Loop Nutrition that if I really wanted a body transformation, well, I can start to eat right as well. I'm not quite there yet because I love my junk food, but you might be in a different situation. And that's where Loop Nutrition comes in. And for people like Joe, yeah, man, that neck ain't going to help itself. So they've got the ways to help you out. Now, I say that about Loop Nutrition. Now, I will tell you this. I know when I need to get away from all that beige food, there is one place I will go, and that is Happy and
Let's take a
Hale.
break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
So they're back in the building, Lenovo Center. You will probably see a lot of beige food. You might not be in the mood for beige food. You want a healthy option at the arena? Guess what? That's what you have with Happy and Hale. Get your smoothies, get your bowls. It's all fantastic stuff.
I went yesterday. I forgot how good the Almond Brothers smoothie is. I forgot. It's amazing. Go try it for yourself.
All right. I love that. All right. So we also have our friends over at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Check them out online at bugsbite.com. It's getting a little cooler outside, but this is North Carolina. And while it might be October 15th and the weather's really, really nice and it looks like it's going to be the nicest weekend, we got another heat wave in us. We got one.
We got one more.
We know those mosquitoes are going to be bothering us.
We got one more.
We got one more in us. We always do.
Oh, man.
So head on over to bugsbite.com. Bundle and save with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority today. So we've got I got a text from Hayes Permar.
Hey, Perm.
I was like, I almost brought this up, but let it slide until I got a text about it this morning. And listening to yesterday's pod, and Ovia said he visited Tryon Palace in Goldsboro. Guess they don't teach history at Gibbons. Yeah, it's New Bern. I know. I don't know why I said Goldsboro. I screwed up. But yes, it's New Bern. My bad. He also said, you guys walking back decades of Eastern North Carolina barbecue hate was also cute. No, I wasn't walking back decades of Eastern North Carolina barbecue hate. I said what I said about going to Skyline Inn for the first time and how Sam Jones has brought that here to North Carolina, to Raleigh, North Carolina. Hayes, Hayes, who is the king of haters,
he is the keeper of haters,
right? I think it's cute when Hayes acts like when he goes into well actually mode, right? As if he isn't a notorious well actually hater when it comes to things. But here's the thing: game recognized game.
That's
Hayes.
right.
That's why we get along. That's why we get along. Game recognized game. Speaking of, I feel like this is an errors and corrections segment.
There we go.
Yes, I screwed up the Goldsboro thing. It's fine. You talk for as much as we do for a living and see how many things you get wrong in a given day. It's fine. I own it. Just like I said, this is more bothersome to me than getting the New Bern Goldsboro thing all screwed up, right? I said that was a disturbed weekend on WMMR in Philadelphia.
Oh, no. What was it?
And I brought up Bodies at the Floor. Bodies at the Floor is a Drowning Pool song. Disturbed did Down with the Sickness. That's what I meant to say. That is, I will me on that one. I should know better. I should know better on that one. So apologies for that. Thanks to everybody who pointed out that, hey, dumbass. I did not realize there were so many butt rock fans out there.
I'm sorry?
Butt rock. Like Creed, all that stuff, all that like late, like 99, 2000, 2001, 2002 timeframe rock that was dominating the radio at that time.
Why is it called butt rock?
it's just what it's called, Joe. I don't know.
Okay.
Why is indie music called indie music when most of the bands that are considered indie music are signed to major labels? Because it's a sound. So I guess butt rock is just, ass music. I really don't know why it's called butt rock. Now I'm gonna have to go look it up.
Okay.
It's just like stupid.
If only we had a machine.
I know.
here.
It's like that's to me, it's new metal.
Butt rock.
But I guess now they call it butt rock. Why is it called
originated
butt
in
rock?
the late 90s, raspy vocals, radio-friendly guitar riffs, and butt rock is often influenced by post-grunge and new metal. Some say that butt rock bands tend to play at real estate rock festivals, red state rock festivals,
Like
and
Three Doors
county
Down
and country fairgrounds.
Okay.
Nickelback,
Oh,
Creed, Buck Cherry.
Oh yeah, Buck Cherry, all lit up again.
Oh, the term butt rock may come from radio stations that play nothing
but
rock.
Oh, it has nothing to do with a radio station that might have a morning show called Weenie and the Butt. Weenie.
Learn something new today.
And the butt. All right, to the YouTube, Connor, as a Philly fan, Joe Giglio of Philly is one of the many media jokes, all caps in Philly. Nobody hates Philadelphia athletes more than Philadelphia media, and nobody hates Philadelphia media more than Philadelphia athletes. Maybe that's something to it. Speaking of national sports news, as we close things out here, it looks like the Raiders are finalizing a deal to trade Devontae Adams to the Jets for a conditional third rounder that can become a second rounder, according to Adam Schefter.
More proof of your theory that the salary cap doesn't exist.
Does not exist. Yeah, from Doug, Drowning Pool sings body. I know. Put timestamps in. I put timestamps in. This is the one that kind of bothered me. From John, the average Joe is telling Triangle Pack fans to shut up and be happy with mediocrity. Sad coverage by the quote unquote media. And I just simply responded to this person.
Who said that they should be happy?
Who said that? Were you interpreting us riffing on Dave Dorn saying, shit, be happy we won? As saying,
I said ignore them. I didn't say be happy this year.
Yeah. I'm
for your own sanity.
Yeah, you said don't even go to the game.
It's just like
go win the tailgate.
Go
at this
win the
point.
tailgate.
So
don't do it to yourself is what I'm saying.
Yeah, man. From Wolfpacker 93, this year for NC State fans feels a lot like the 2019 season, coming off a 4 good seasons in a row, but no breakthrough year yet. Shaky start to the year. And he goes on and on and on. QB and Leary, who shows some promise potential in his typical freshman mistakes, come back in 2020 with some development, coaching stat changes to go on to a great 4-year run. Yeah, I guess that's kind of tied into what we were saying earlier about how things might play out into next year. From David, thank God State isn't ranked in the AP Top 25 for basketball. Might win some games early now. That's a good point. That is a good point. And some criticism from Scott on CJ Bailey, who doesn't get the ball out on time, takes too long. He shouldn't be playing. I don't put that on CJ. The basic 3 running plays, that D seems to know it's coming. It is more frustrating. Like in the case of the fumble, man, that's offensive line play, straight up. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. I will go study up on my geography of North Carolina, and we will see you tomorrow for a 100% weenie in the butt, Panther free guarantee.